Welcome to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan.
On the conversation on the business of brands, I think it's time to pay homage to the man who made so many of the brands possible in India. And thank you for putting this episode together, Sudeep, because I don't know the man enough, Mr. Piyush Pandey, and what a master he was, and how much he's given to India businesses and brands, and I think Indians in general. While I know he's been the global creative director at Ogilvy, for me, I think he is one of the key factors that made Indians be cool. As in, he told us it is cool to be you. And he captured the slice of life. And that's how I remember him. But I've never really worked directly with him. So I'll pass it on to you to take this on. I'll be a very active listener today.
No, you're right. And not only did Piyush create a lot of brands, he was a brand in himself. And, for any marketer in India, I think he would possibly be the biggest marketing celebrity that one can find. As luck would have it, having worked in Cadbury as well as in Pidilite, one of the biggest privileges. And I say one because it gave me a chance to work on brands that have created history and are recorded in the annals of marketing. But one of the privileges was also to be in the same room, same vicinity as Piyush a number of times. At Cadbury, our paths would cross very rarely. I would meet him in agency meetings, agency parties, sometimes pitches. But most of my experience of working with him came at Pidilite. Been in meetings with him multiple times, been to his home to discuss brief and to get narration of the scripts or ideas, etc., right? So that gave me an opportunity to see him up close and personal. And one of the things that you remember him by, that whenever you are there, he would call most of the people partner.
I've heard.
Yeah, so he would say, कैसा है partner, इधर आ, बैठ, चल बात करते हैं, चाय पीते हैं. So he would, and then he would be genuinely interested in what you were saying. He'll show genuine concern. He will have keenness to learn about what you're talking, what you're saying. And he would ask, partner, ये बता business problem क्या है, क्या solve करना है अपने को. So that is where he would start from. And then he will slowly find his way towards what do we want the consumer to do, and therefore what should we say to the consumer. Everybody knows about his mustache and the fact that he had a booming laughter.
Right.
He would crack jokes, etc. But what people can intuitively guess. But what most our listeners wouldn't know was how keen he was to understand why a consumer would or wouldn't buy a brand or a service, product or a service, as per the business team or the marketing team. And he would discuss that in great detail till he got absolute clarity around it.
So, what are the first brand you worked with him on, Sudeep?
Largely Fevicol and Dr. Fixit. Very little on Fevicol, a lot on Dr. Fixit.
Okay. You said you would give him a brief. How is it possible to give Piyush Pandey a brief on Fevicol? He could probably tell you the history of it.
No, so Fevicol, you would never give him a brief.
Okay.
There was a timeless brief to Piyush because he understood Fevicol, and Fevicol never really changed its brief for a fair deal of time. So therefore, for Fevicol, you never needed to give him a brief. For Fevicol, you would just listen to the newest idea that he has. On Dr. Fixit, we worked quite a bit with him to try and find different ways to develop this category, to make people aware, etc., etc. It was good fun. So one was this, my personal interaction with him. And then God bless his soul, after he passed away, so quite shockingly, I was just amazed by the variety and the width of attendees at his funeral as well as his memorial service, with people coming from all walks of life. Obviously, you would expect the entire Ogilvy team to be there.
Right.
But all leaders from his rival agencies, their employees, his clients, people from Bollywood, people from politics, cricketers, you name it, and those people were there. Not because it was a photo obsession. In various interactions, he had genuinely touched them. He was a cricket player himself. He captained the Rajasthan Ranji team. So Madan Lal and Amit Mathur, his two friends from his cricket days and players in his team, spoke
Oh, he
on
captained
his,
Arunal.
yeah,
Ah, nice. Okay.
spoke, and he was a wicket keeper while Arun Lal was bowling. So they spoke on his memorial. Piyush Goyal, the minister,
Yeah.
central minister, he spoke on his memorial. So you could just see the, you know, variety of people who had worked extensively with him and had been touched. And so therefore I thought, whatever I have experienced, whatever I learned when I heard all of these people speak about him, maybe share my reflections with you as well as our listeners on, what are the things that we can carry back from his life.
I'll actually ask you a question about it to say
Okay.
there's so much he's achieved in his career, right? And a lot of the outsiders know him because of the achievements that he's had and the ads that he's made. But one surprising aspect that I found in all the homage that was written about him was that people cherished the person he was even more than the achievements. So what it tells me is that he achieved so much, but as a human being, he was even more than his achievements. That's saying something about the human being that he was.
I think a big part of why he achieved so much was because of what you just said. So when I was putting down some points on why, what made him work, or what made him the legendary Piyush Pandey, and reflecting and listening to people, I couldn't help but jot down a lot of things about who he was
The person.
as a person before, how he would go about crafting his things. You couldn't really separate the two, and who he was essentially a part of the work that he did. So one of the first things that people will talk about, you will always listen, is he would always keep his inner kid alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. uh, you would have this mischievous twinkle in his eye, and like a kid, he would be curious. He would observe things and crack jokes, at whatever time. So if he thought of a joke while he was exiting a hotel, he would narrate it to the person standing at the gate, who was opening the gate for him. He would look at a scenario, imagine some joke about it, and later in the meeting, or once you've sat in the car, he will tell you कि इसको ऐसे imagine कर तो देख कैसा होगा, right? His friends spoke about the mischief that he would play, even after they'd grown up, while they were working वगैरह वगैरह. तो Arun Lal spoke about the fact that this guy woke up one day. He had a habit of waking up very early in the morning. So he called them up around 7 a.m. in the morning, and he said, आज तो तुम्हारी लग गई, because today is Mother's Day and I've already called and wished your mothers before you. Now, just this act, number one, tells you that somebody who has the phone number to somebody else's mother, their
Mothers,
friends'
yeah.
mothers, or their landlines, or whatever, has developed those kind of relationship where he can wish them, talk to them, etc., etc., and then pull this mischief off and then tell his friends, right? So he would do a lot of such things. We heard a lot of such instances,
Mm-hmm.
which would essentially tell you the sort of life that he always had in him, and this whole mischief that was always inside him, and that would make him look at the world in a certain manner.
Absolutely. And I also heard that he, like you said, he seeks to learn from every person he talks to. In the sense, I've heard brand managers say they felt they had his complete attention when they were talking to him, as
100%.
much as the CEO would have.
Yeah, 100%. I would say he was forever a student, not just of people, of brands, of business, but also of nature, surroundings, life. So he had this legendary quote that many people in Ogilvy and various clients that he worked with would talk about. He would say that कंप्यूटर में देखोगे तो डेटा दिखेगा और ऊपर देखोगे तो लाइफ दिखेगी या जिंदगी दिखेगी, right? To learn from life and don't keep pouring over data in your computers, right? There's another incident that I think Sonal Dabral spoke about on his memorial. He said that they were young and they were given a ticket to attend the Cannes Film Festival, the Cannes Festival for Creativity. So one of these days, it was told to them that Piyush is doing a session at Cannes, right? So they were beaming with pride that their boss was conducting a session that the entire world, the creatives of the entire world were yearning to attend. They said, okay, let's go attend. Okay, so they go inside, and Piyush had this habit of coming on time always. So he would enter the place at the right time, and then Piyush would ask everybody to stand in their places and just inhale and exhale for 5 long minutes. Deep inhale and deep exhale. Now, Piyush being Piyush, people did what he asked them to do, but everybody was thoroughly confused as to what is happening. 5 good long minutes later, once they have done it sufficient number of times, Piyush said that as creatives, what you exhale, right, is your work, right? But a lot of the time, you forget to inhale. What you inhale is life. If you stop inhaling and you sit only in your offices and you sit only in your data, you're not inhaling. How do you expect to exhale if you're not inhaling?
So beautifully put, right?
Yeah.
It's
I know.
I mean, we say this to marketers also.
Yeah.
Get out and see the world and don't sit in an office.
Yeah.
And if creatives don't have inspiration or inputs for inspiration,
Yeah.
how is their exhalation going to be any better?
Correct.
Beautiful.
Correct. Also, so the third thing that I observed when I heard people talking about all of this was this whole ability, effort that he made to keep his friends and family close, right? I rue this fact in my personal life that, I got so busy in my professional life that I've not been able to work on my friendships, strengthen my friendships as much as I should have, right? A lot of the relationships become transactional or distant and don't grow as fond as you would want them to. I would find that he would make time. He would just create time and he would make you believe that it is all about giving the right set of, priority, making time and being there and being thoughtful, etc.
For a man who is so busy to
Yeah.
manage to do that,
Yeah.
gives us no excuse.
Correct. Correct. So he had a house in Goa and he had a house in Mumbai. So Anita, his wife, would usually be in Goa, and he would make sure that he would meet his friends either in Goa or in Mumbai, but he would make time. He would meet his childhood friends. He would meet his cricket friends. Everybody, yeah, even in advertising world. So there was nobody who would say that as years grew by, we became busier, and I didn't see much of Piyush. Nobody said that.
That's phenomenal, right?
It is
I mean,
phenomenal.
it sounds so trivial,
Yeah.
but it's a phenomenal thing to have maintained, to take the effort to do it.
And I genuinely believe, Sharan, that if you surround yourself with people who have seen you from the very starts of your life, it helps you, keeps you grounded, keeps your spirit alive, helps you retain that childlike curiosity, keenness, laughter, etc.
Absolutely.
So we did this commercial where we wanted Mr. Bachchan to speak about waterproofing and describe the extent of problem that could happen if somebody did not waterproof their house very well, right? So Piyush and Prasoon was his brother, worked on the script and came back. And one of the quirks in the script was that they spoke about कि अगर आपने waterproofing नहीं की तो सीलन आपके घर में घुसड़म घुसड़ू होके घुसड़म घुसड़ू हो जाएगी, राइट? नाउ व्हाट इज दिस घुसड़म घुसड़ू, राइट? तो it came from floor and sleep there, yeah, with rajai over everybody. सब इसमें घुसड़म घुसड़ू हो जाओ. But I was amazed at, obviously I found it quite funny, and a lot of people picked up on it, got into online chatter, etc. But for somebody to retain some of these experiences from their childhood and then to use them somewhere or get inspired by it is an ability that very few possess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Completely. Oh, I love that.
Obviously this was all about his who he was, and in his personal life and how he conducted himself. What goes without saying obviously is his sharp intellect and his command over language, right?
Right.
He, when he started off on all of these accounts, Luna, Chal Meri Luna,
His
or
first time, right? That was
yeah, so first print, then
Sprint, is it?
when he got on to Fevicol or to Asian Paints, etc., he started off as a Hindi copywriter, right? So
And he was good at both, but Hindi was his love.
yeah,
Is what
Hindi obviously
I
was,
understood.
because he always felt that if you had to connect with India, you had to think Hindi first, right? Obviously, he did great work for Asian Paints in TN, in Kerala. So he did Pongal, he did Onam, etc., for them.
I have a perspective on that because it's usually when we make a lot of fun about the Bombay agencies doing South ads, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I think for him, his passion about his language got him to understand why everybody is passionate about their language, and he
yeah,
gave it that respect.
yeah, 100%. 100%. He would ask people, he would get directors from South, creatives from South to opine about stuff, to write that stuff, because not just language, Sharan, he would also be passionate about quirks, practices, beliefs that people have, and he would want those to be built into the fabric of the communication.
Absolutely.
And he was obviously quite sharp, that is why people would go to him. So a lot of the people might or might not know, but it is worth telling that Mile Sur Mera Tumhara was written by him, right?
Yeah.
The iconic Hindi song. Then Ab Ki Baar Modi Sarkar was the slogan given by him. So he would get the pulse of people, he would understand the brief well, and then he'd be able to craft, creatives that would capture everybody's attention, right? For sure. So he was
Absolutely.
sharp, he had great command over the language, and he could feel the pulse of people. This is something which is known in the industry, but it was amply visible when recently I went to some of the congregations for him, that he is somebody who has possibly bred the maximum number of advertising leaders in India. He has mentored them, taught them, admonished them, corrected them, trained them, and have finally led them to become what they are today. Almost all big agencies have somebody or the other at their helm who has grown under Piyush.
This is a question I wanted to ask him if we ever had him on the show. We did. But I'll ask you the question now that we're talking about him. How do you mentor somebody as a creative leader? Because the way you think and way the other person thinks could be extremely different. And that is what makes them creative. So did you catch anything of how he enabled creativity with people?
Yeah. His, see, everybody's way of thinking would be different, but all of them are solving for a common business problem. And this was visible when he would get his team to narrate scripts, and the way he would either stand by them or correct them a little bit, etc., etc. So he would possibly let them express their creativity and evaluate it on the fact that whether it is solving the business problem and whether it is capturing the right human insight or not. As long as it was doing that, and there are times it is known that he had an idea, one of the creatives had an idea. He found the creative's idea better. He would say, go ahead and narrate it to the client, right? So I think he created that culture. He gave people that confidence to think for themselves, to solve for briefs, as long as you are able to do it in the right manner.
Okay. So
And he would set example in the manner he would treat people.
I think that's more important, right? Because when you see how you're being treated, you end up treating people the same way,
The same way. Correct.
which is
Yeah.
brilliant.
So
Now tell me, how do you brief Piyush Pandey? You said you briefed him, if not on Fevicol, on others. So tell me, how is it to brief him?
it was usually a conversation. He was not a big fan of documents. So you try and think through the brief, discuss it, whittle it down to some very specific consumer insights that you believe are something which are either an issue or an opportunity, right? And then since Piyush would know your product or your brand, or if you're talking about for example, some specific functionality, you would help him understand that this is what I want the consumer to understand, or this is why the consumer must care about it. And then you would tell him that these are the issues or consumer opportunities that we think we must be solving for. He would have questions, he would have suggestions, etc., etc. He would try and build on it. You might also point out to him that, Piyush, these are things that we might need to buttress a little bit more, to clarify to the consumers a little bit more. Otherwise, in the whole commercial, these are the things that possibly could get missed. So you would take in all those inputs and you will say कि ठीक है partner, समझ गया मैं, करते हैं इसको. So that's how it will be.
Have you ever said no to him?
Not directly, but there've been times where we haven't liked the script and we have had constructive builds on it. And he has gone back, come
Interesting.
back. Yeah. We've had scripts on which we've had multiple rounds with him.
It's amazing that you can do that with a person like him, right?
Yeah, of course. He would be very open to all kind of constructive inputs on specific reason why you think something would or wouldn't work. He'll be very happy to listen to each and everything. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, given that
Mm.
you worked with him,
Mm.
when you see certain communication that's put out, right, you know he's had a touch in it. You can see Piyush Pandey come through in most of his work. How does that happen? Why does it happen?
I think, like you said, that he had this keen ability to bring the slice of life alive in whatever he would do, and he would capture the human emotion, the raw human emotion, very, very well. So I would possibly attribute it to his ability to study human emotions and then connect them back to what your what your product is trying to do for people, right? This magical arrangement, magical marriage of both is something that not many creative or marketers are able to manage. That Piyush was able to do very, very well. Yeah. You look at, for example, the Asian Paints हर घर कुछ कहता है campaign, और कुछ खास है हम सभी में by Cadbury. You would find that while they had very specific, so one for the Asian Paints one, the one keyword possibly will be that transition from being a functional paint to being an accessory for a home proud lady,
Right.
right? And therefore, that ट्रांजिशनिंग इनटू कि हर घर कुछ कहता है कि इसके अंदर कौन रहता है, कि छत बताती है कि एक इसका आसमान है, फर्श बताते हैं कि इस पर किसके बच्चे नंगे पैर चलते हैं. तो थिंग्स लाइक सच व्हिच इट जस्ट मेक्स यू फील दैट दिस इज फॉर मी,
Right. Just
राइट?
made it relatable.
Just made it so relatable because he would capture some of these nuances of your and my life so very well.
And I'm amazed how he made glue, gum, have so many unforgettable renditions.
Yeah. I think There are two parts to this one. One is, him understanding the essence of the brand very well. Yeah, having gone through the entire journey, and very few initial commercials showed one or two showed Fevicol for its functional usage with relation to wood. And then after that, it just completely, took leap from there. I think the first thing that I will talk about is possibly he internalized the brand and its essence so well, and obviously got great support from Madhukar Bhai on this, that it then became a timeless brief. So I remember Prasoon and Piyush getting a message from Prasoon and Piyush's team that they've got a brilliant idea. Why don't we meet? So the creative would call for a meet rather than us calling for a meet, because they've had a great idea, because they were continuously looking at things from that point of view.
Lovely.
And the second thing that I will possibly also say is what you were rightly saying, sabse mazboot jod. They were able to connect it back to so many human situations over and over again. Just look at the width of situations that we spoke about. So there is the bus commercial that also won a Cannes Award, I think in 1992, or rather 2002. Yeah. The bus that is going through this very uneven
Who could
terrain
forget
in
that?
Rajasthan. Yeah. Then there is this, just the wide variety of human emotions that can, or slice of life situations that can see some kind of a twist because of a glue is what has kept the brand so relevant, so lovingly joyful. And that's what people
And I've also
marvel
heard
on.
he did a lot of, what do you say, under constraints and under last minute, he did a lot of great work, like for the Madhya Pradesh tourism or even IPL. So he was very last minute stepping in and doing some fantastic work.
So that was one of his things, that he had this unending quest for brilliance, right? So he would keep pushing the team. If he was not as satisfied with something, he would, obviously keep pushing for it. And as I said, he would have multiple rounds with his team. He would have some ideas, team would have some ideas. And if the team had better ideas, he would ask them to run with it and present those to the clients. But he would have some ideas of his own. So I've seen him, one having some ideas of his own, and he would judge the mood in the room, whether if the team's idea is not flying, then he would obviously have some of his ideas that he can pitch across. He would also, try and understand what is preventing the team's idea from, getting liked, or why is it not getting through. He would also try and solve for it on the, during the meeting itself, because
On the go.
because he had that experience, because he would show so much keenness to understand where your barrier is coming from. He would then try to definitely solve it in the right earnest, right? So a lot of the pitches, a lot of the campaigns possibly got saved with Piyush's last minute intervention also. And people therefore saw him as a father figure, mentor, and a wicket keeper in the truest sense, which he was in his cricket playing days, that they don't need to worry there's somebody standing behind them. Their captain, their wicket keeper is backing them. And that gave additional confidence to people who worked with him.
So lovely, right? That's amazing. So I think we've gone way longer than we planned, and I think we can still go on a lot longer.
Yeah.
But what would you say to the marketers and advertisers of today as how they should remember or what they should do to pay respects to Mr. Piyush Pandey?
See, I think there can never be another Piyush Pandey. God bless India if we get another one, but I don't think we can ever get another Piyush Pandey. And I think the best thing that all of us, the entire marketing fraternity, can do to pay homage to this big man is by possibly imbibing some of his values, some of his tenets, some of his ways in our personal and professional lives, and try to live by them. Even if we keep that little Piyush alive in ourselves, that is sufficient. That will be a great way of remembering and celebrating him.
It's lovely, right? Because it's not, I asked you for professions, but you ended up saying follows tenets in personal and professional
life.
lives. I think, and this goes back to the way we started.
Yeah.
He was so great
Yeah.
in his profession because he was even greater as a person. I think that's a lovely homage to pay to him, Sudeep.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the episode. I quite enjoyed this one.
And as they had put up, Ogilvy had come up with this line that they had put up everywhere during the funeral service as well as at the memorial. And I would end by say this: well played, Captain.
Thank you for listening to CoBB, Conversations on the Business of Brands with Sudeep Chawla and Sharavana Raghavan. Subscribe and learn more at cobcast.net.